Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. But we are joined by a very special guest, AJ Schulte, writer for Pro Football Network 365. Thank you for joining us tonight, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right. Given the news today that the Washington football team just released Morgan Moses. And so that goes into my first question for you, AJ. One of the hypotheticals everyone's been saying is that Sam Cosmi could immediately start at that right tackle position for Morgan Moses now that he's gone. Based on your being a college writer, do you think that Samuel Cosmi is ready to start at right tackle?
It'll be a bit of an adjustment considering he has played left tackle the last couple of years, but he did start his career at the University of Texas at right tackle. I think he's got all the tools in the world to succeed at right tackle. I think him and Charles Leno are certainly going to compete for that left tackle spot, but ultimately, I think Cosmi has that athleticism. He could play both spots. I think right now, just projecting, I would say Leno would be left tackle, and Cosmi could certainly start from day one at right tackle.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That'll be very interesting to see what happens. That's a key camp battle. So I know that you are very into college and you're really into scouting. So a big thing around here, obviously, is the quarterback situation for Washington. Obviously, Washington did not take a quarterback in the draft. Right. That was a pretty big issue. Next year's quarterback class, nobody talks about it. Of course, it's not as good as this past year or even the season before with Burrow, Herbert, and Tua. But next year, they've got some pretty good guys. I was just wondering if there's anybody in there that you see as a franchise guy or who your top three quarterbacks are next year.
It's tough because with how good Washington is or could be, certainly could be, right? We're not going to sit here and say, Washington's picking top 5 next year.
They would have to trade up more than likely, right?
Yeah, which certainly would be like that's your Spencer Rattler territory, maybe Sam Howell territory. Right. So, but I think maybe some guys later on, you might have a Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati be Love there. I know Malik Willis is getting a lot of buzz exciting right now.
Thor Nystrom loves him.
So I think, and then you have some other guys like Phil Jerkovich out of Boston College that fits a lot of he's the big frame, super strong arm kind of guy that fits a lot of molds. So it's tough because a lot of people are going to say, "Oh man, Washington would be so good if they had Sam Howell or Spencer Rattler or any of these guys who are going to be a top 5." But we're sitting here saying, they don't have a bottom 5 roster, right? They can certainly pick. It would just be a complete disaster. It would take so many things going wrong,
right?
For that, because they made the playoffs with Wayne Haskins, Alex Smith.
Kyle Allen
was playing quarterback, right? So you had a lot of things go wrong, and they still made the playoffs. So it's tough without something going wrong to sit there and say. But I do love the fit. If they do want to trade up and be aggressive and go get a guy, I do love the fit of Sam Howell.
Yes,
there. I think his tools. I think Scott Turner has made an emphasis on wanting to push the ball down the field. I think Sam Howell can do that at a very high level.
Right.
And with all the weapons Washington has, I think that's a pretty easy adjustment right there.
Right. Especially his former college teammate, De'Ami Brown.
Yep, exactly. I was just going to add that in there.
That's another part of it, exactly. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, and speaking of veterans that Washington has been moving on lately, obviously another big news grabber was Ryan Kerrigan, them not bringing him back and him moving on to Philly. Do you think some of these younger guys, maybe like a guy like Shaka Toney, can maybe step in and give that kind of production that Ryan Kerrigan gave last year?
Yeah, I think they're going to have all the opportunity in the world, because there's not a lot of pass rushing depth after Kerrigan gone. Certainly Chase Young and Montez Sweat are going to play 85-90% of the snaps, but Shaka Toney and William Bradley King both were very, very explosive college pass rushers. William Bradley King has a ton of production coming from Dave Aranda's Baylor scheme. I think both of them have a lot of tools to develop, and certainly there will have plenty of opportunity to succeed. I like that they're being developed. They don't have to go out right away. They have Chase Young, right, who's a superstar mega freak to learn from, and a great coaching staff there that can kind of develop. And so I could absolutely see one or both of them stepping in and being quality third, fourth edge rushers. They're all very, very young.
Right.
So I think it's certainly worth monitoring who steps forward the most between Tony and William Bradley King. But I think Washington fans could be excited about both of their potential.
Yeah, that gets me horny, baby. But now the Washington's first round selection was Jamin.
Oh my God, Kyle.
Was Jamin Davis, a linebacker out of Kentucky. Kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of people. And a lot of people have speculated on where he's going to be playing, not only this year, but for his career. So do you think that Jamin could come in and be the Mike linebacker right away, or is he going to be the Sam or Will?
I think he would probably be more of the Sam. He's going to come in, he's going to play your tight ends. He's going to, Washington had trouble covering mobile quarterbacks. Yep. So I think he'll be a big part of that as well moving forward. He could just, 4.3 ridiculous speed at linebacker.
Right.
He certainly will help. I don't think he'll play Mike. I don't think, that's a mental adjustment that I don't think he's quite ready for just yet. As he progresses on, I could see him taking those full responsibilities. But for right now, I think he's your primary. This guy's going to line up again. He's going to cover the tight ends. He's going to help defend the quarterback run game. We might have him go out, chase running backs out of the backfield. That's kind of his role, because I believe Cole Holcomb is going to play the Will.
Right.
The opposite side.
Yeah.
So,
I think that makes the most sense. And I know that they are very high on John Bostic as an inside linebacker. I mean, just that they're comfortable with him because he's a smart veteran guy. So another person that was drafted fairly early for us was Benjamin St. Juste out of Minnesota. But we all know he's got fantastic body. He's very long. He's athletic. How do you see him fitting in? This is a pretty crowded room now with William Jackson III, Kendall Fuller, Jimmy Moreland, Bobby McCain can come up and play some corner. So how do you see him fitting in?
It'll be interesting to see how it fits. I think primarily it's the battle between him and Jimmy Moreland,
right?
As your corner three. Obviously they signed William Jackson III, who's a phenomenal outside corner. He's going to be your corner one. I think right away he's going to be your top corner. And Kendall Fuller, I think with St. Juste and Jimmy Moreland, how they play will impact Fuller, because if Jimmy Moreland beats out St. Juste in camp, now Kendall Fuller's going to play outside primarily more. Moreland's going to be the primary nickel, and St. Juste is kind of corner 4, rotational outside corner piece. But if St. Juste beats out Moreland, and St. Juste, I believe, projects better outside than inside in the nickel anyways.
Agreed.
So if that's the case, and he plays better in camp, and you're going, wow, okay, yeah, this is why we drafted him. Now you have the ability to move Fuller inside, outside.
That's
you
true.
can match up on matchups. And so I think that's your primary battle to focus on. But you're right, it's a very talented room. It's super, super, super exciting.
Right.
Yeah, 100%, without a doubt. Last year, with Juan Rivera and the rest of this coaching staff coming in, there was already Washington fans forever have been saying there's a lot of talent on this team. It just took the right coaching. We had to get Manubsky out of here.
There's injuries forever.
Yeah, injuries forever. So obviously the new staff comes in and everyone's production goes up. Going into this next upcoming season with a lot of guys going into being a year under their belt in the system, offensively and defensively, who do you think can take the biggest jump, kind of like a Montez Sweat from year 1 to year 2 kind of leap?
Ooh, you're right. It's tough because there's a lot of talent, and certainly guys like Antonio Gibson has already kind of established. Terry McLaurin has absolutely established himself. I would say for me, it would probably be a Cam Curl. I think could step in.
That.
Cam Curl, I thought played very well as a rookie. I think with more time in the system, more time adjusting to the NFL game, I certainly think he could step into that next tier of safety play. On offense, man, there's just so much talent. It's hard, especially for some of these younger guys. Like Antonio Gandy Golden, right? AGG. It's now a crowded room. It's a very crowded room.
He might be the odd man out.
It went from Terry McLaurin to Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and De'Ami Brown really quick.
Right.
And so and then you have Dax Milne, who they might like. They drafted him, special teams ability, so they might like him a little more, and Adam Humphries too.
And Cam Sims.
Yeah, so now you've kind of got a battle going there, and so it's tough on offense. But my answer would most comfortably be Cam Curl. Okay. I really like the way he stepped in.
Can't go wrong with that answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Washington football team, AJ, just signed Bobby McCain from the Miami Dolphins. Now, I don't believe that they're done looking in free agency. So what positions do you think that they could still add some depth to, and what players they could go out and get that are available?
Ooh. I wouldn't mind them going out and trying to add more to offense. I certainly am never going to disagree on offense. I've heard they're rumored for Julio. I don't necessarily buy that. They could always go for another rotational edge rusher. I'm not off the top of my head. I can't think of anybody in free agency. I was not prepared for that question.
No, my fault. I know Melvin Ingram is available. I'm pretty
sure. Melvin Ingram.
Edge rusher's tough because now that Kerrigan's off the market, now it's like,
Melvin Ingram, I think, would be a really solid veteran add. I know a lot of people bring up he'd had a few, like his sack total wasn't great, but he was putting up a lot of pressures. I think that's a low risk signing this late. He's coming off of an injury. But I think with the talent already there, you don't have to play him right away, and he could come in to be a veteran presence for some of these younger guys to learn from. So that would be a pretty low risk signing that could potentially pay off big once Melvin Ingram is fully healthy.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just going to ask you a general question for the NFL because you can really go a couple of ways with this answer. Which rookie quarterback do you think landed in the best position, and which one do you expect to have the biggest fantasy impact this year in year one?
Ooh. Well,
because there's a lot. It's tough. That's a tough question.
We're pulling them out tonight, AJ.
I know that's a hard one. You can make a case for a couple guys.
Given the fact that I think he's going to start right away, Trevor Lawrence would be my pick for.
They have a lot of weapons too.
Yeah. There's so many weapons there, and they've got a good offensive line. As much as people kind of just Jacksonville, nothing's right, Jacksonville, which is a fair point to make considering their past.
They're the new Cleveland Browns
on the offensive line,
right?
Yeah. So I think just from the fact that he's going to start right away, there's plenty of weapons. I think that would be my biggest pick for fantasy impact, just because you don't have to worry about, is he going to start? When is Justin Fields going to start? When is Trey Lance going to start?
Mac Jones.
I think Mac Jones especially. And so, but in terms of the best landing spot, it's hard not to say Trey Lance.
Yeah.
With Shanahan.
Right.
That offensive line. I mean, he had George Kittle and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk played phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Trent Williams, one of the best tackles, if not the best tackle in the game. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with Trent Williams.
Just a little bit.
Still.
Just a little
bit. Just a little. Yeah. He's just he's there. He's there. But there's a lot of talent there, and Trey Lance is going to step in with one of the best play callers. So if he starts right away, which we don't really know right now, we could sit here and say, oh yeah, he probably should. We know what Jimmy Garoppolo does, and Trey Lance's upside suggests he can be better. But if he probably won't, because they typically don't start rookie quarterbacks right away,
especially
unless you have Trevor
experience.
Freaking Lawrence.
Right.
Right. So those would be my two answers there.
I completely agree.
Well, since we jumped into the fantasy realm really quick, I'm going to have to ask you about a personal question, because I have Justin Herbert going. I'm in a keeper league, and a lot of people are saying that Justin Herbert could maybe suffer that sophomore slump just because it's a new system coming in, whole new coaching staff, all that nature. Me personally, I think he's going to have a jump from year 1 to year 2. What do you see from Justin Herbert coming in fantasy-wise?
Oh, I expect to jump.
Yeah.
Both in play and in terms of fantasy relevance. I think what you saw out of Justin Herbert was pretty rare for rookie quarterbacks.
Right.
He wasn't perfect by any means. There were obviously some stretches of accuracy issues, some decision making questions that will get ironed out. But I think the upside is just tremendous. You saw his arm talent, just ridiculous placement on so many throws. I think the offensive line improved dramatically. I think the new system, Anthony Lynn isn't just going to be force feeding the run game anymore and forcing Herbert to make all these plays on third down. So now you have, hopefully, granted we don't know much about the current staff, what they're going to roll in with, but you're going to hopefully have a more consistent early production as well for Herbert, which is only just going to increase his comfort and increase his fantasy value.
There you go. That's music.
The fact that you got Herbert is, cheers to you, man. Because I think he's ready. He's gonna be so good.
I was gonna say that's music to Hall's ears right now. He's very, very happy about that. Now I'm gonna bring it back to the Washington football team. I'm sorry, I know you were getting all in the groove, AJ, to talk some fantasy, but knowing what we know now with the release,
dang it, they saw through my ploy.
Right after, so now we know now that they released Morgan Moses and they released Jaron Christian today. So there's 2 tackles off their depth chart. Knowing what we know now, that Charles Leno signing, was that a good signing for the Washington football team, and what does he bring to the team?
I thought it was it's a good signing, whether they were on the roster or they weren't, because I think Leno was already better. I mean, Cornelius Lucas played fine. I'm not going to sit here and say he was a terrible tackle. Yeah, he was fine. But Charles Leno, even if he's regressed some from where he used to be, he's still a very good tackle. I mean, he's a reliable, super solid vet. He just doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Injuries have kind of diminished the athleticism from his game, but he's making up for that with some savvy that you see from vets who play for a long time. His technique is outstanding. So I think just signing that guy in general, it was a phenomenal sign, especially for as cheap as they got him. I mean, I think they got him for half the cost the Colts got Eric Fisher.
Yeah.
And Charles Leno can play right away, right? Eric Fisher's not going to play till later on in the season.
It's true.
So it's a fantastic value. And if he's your starting left tackle and you got him for that cheap, I mean, good grief.
Was it like $5 million?
Fantastic signing.
Yeah.
I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
It might even be lower.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so now you have kind of your Sadiq Charles, you have Sam Cosmi, you have some young guys there on your tackle spots that can learn from a guy like Leno, who's been a phenomenal offensive lineman for.
Right.
I think he's been in the league for a decade now. I believe so. I believe it's been a decade, and that only just helps, right? Veterans, especially established, smart veterans like Charles Leno, are only going to rub off on young guys and improve the talent and culture of the offensive line.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And we talked about the receiver room a little bit, but I want to get your opinion on this. Obviously, Terry McLaurin, we know Terry's a stud. And the signings that they have made, like you alluded to, Curtis Samuel and Adam Humphries, and then drafting De'Ami Brown, that's only going to help Terry McLaurin. Do you think that Terry McLaurin is going to make a significant jump, even fantasy-wise, in this season? Do you think Fitzpatrick will help him with that?
Yeah. I absolutely. I think they're going to want to embrace Terry McLaurin as the wide receiver one. I think they're going to want to, they're going to want to create opportunities for him because last year, Terry McLaurin did all he could to get open, and even then it wasn't enough because teams could just focus on him extensively. And it wasn't really until like Logan Thomas kind of came along, you saw later towards the season that Terry McLaurin got some more opportunities, got a little more production, but I think Washington recognized they're like, hey, this McLaurin kid is a super stud.
That was
we need to
Rivera
just go
said.
out and put some talent around him.
Right.
And now Scott Turner has come out and said, hey, we want to push the ball. Right. That's why they signed Brian Fitzpatrick. That's why they've invested in the room in Curtis Samuel and De'Ami Brown, who are just explosive deep threats, right? And so that's only going to rub off more on Terry McLaurin. That offensive philosophy change and adding more talent around is, I believe, only going to help. Now, while he won't be force-fed the amount of targets that he was getting, I think, which slightly will impact his fantasy value, but I think there'll be better targets. There'll be more high-quality.
Right. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And is efficient. Yeah, that's a great word for it.
Right.
And so I think that from that aspect, me and Matt Valdovinos, Matt's one of my great buddies, super Washington fan.
Yeah, we've had Matt on.
He's been saying,
yeah, love Matt.
He's been saying Terry's going to go for 1,800 yards. That's his like, he's all in on Terry McLaurin, and I'm going. If Ryan Fitzpatrick plays like he was in Miami, and he's just going, screw it, Terry McLaurin's down there somewhere, I'm launching it. Yeah, I think that kind of mindset is something totally different than what they had with Alex Smith and Dwayne Haskins. They just couldn't push the ball
polar opposites, right? Polar opposites, and that we love to hear that right now. That's good. So exciting for us.
YOLO balls.
Listen, I gotta do right by the Washington guys.
Yeah,
awesome.
Hell yeah. Speaking of Washington, the NFC, everyone called the NFC East and NFC East last year. A lot of injuries due to key players in the division. Bad quarterback play throughout the whole division as a whole. Obviously, a lot of these, all the teams improved in the division, except maybe Philly took a step back for this year. But you never know what you're going to get out of Jalen Hurts. But with that being said, where do you see Washington ranking in this division?
It's hard not to see them at worst being just second.
My man.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, unless Ryan Fitzpatrick just completely falls apart, right? And he reverts to like Tampa, unless he refers back to Tampa days, Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? They've just got too good of a roster, and I don't like the rest of the NFC East. Dallas has Dak and a ridiculous offense, which is why I would pick them as the other team in the NFC East. I would say that's the team to beat right now, and that's not a slight on Washington. It's just they have the quarterback. Washington maybe doesn't. Right. And so I think those two right away are your top. I could see if Ryan Fitzpatrick is that guy, Washington's making the playoffs. They're just too talented of a roster. It all kind of just hinges on how they play there, and hopefully staving off defensive regression, but I don't think it'll be too significant of defensive regression.
Isn't it crazy what a year can do for a team? Like last year, we were supposed to be 3-13. We're supposed to be a top 3 pick again. All of a sudden, a year comes, and it's Washington's actually got some talent. They're one of the best teams in the NFC East, so watch out.
Yeah, it's coaching staff, right? I mean, it's kind of like Cleveland, right? In the sense that Cleveland picked high for a while, and they were getting talented players. They just couldn't do anything.
They hit
on Washington. It's like, hey, look, we got Brandon Scherf. Look at him. Isn't he great? He's fantastic. Oh, Terry McLaurin, our third round pick. Yeah, don't you love him? He's amazing. We just love him. He's so good. Look at all this talent we have, guys. Oh, look. Oh, Kendall Fuller wants to come back? Okay. Yeah, we'll take him. Okay.
Do you see that animal with the dreadlocks right there? Yeah, that's Chase Young. Watch out for him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here's our version of Myles Garrett. You want to try us, Cleveland? Come on. We got Chase Young. We got Chase Young. And so now you're seeing a culture change, right?
Yes.
It's like William Jackson III. That's a guy a year ago. You're saying he's going to go to a contender, right? If Cincinnati lets him walk, he's going to go to Tampa or New Orleans or some of these teams that are just highly, highly thought of. And Washington signs him. And Washington kind of came out of nowhere. A lot of people weren't expecting Washington. Yeah. But then Will Jackson III was like, I wanted to come here. This is a great team. And Ron Rivera is certainly one of the most. Yeah, exactly. Ron Rivera is such a revered coach for his culture ability and you can see that change really in Washington. You can be excited. And it's funny because so many Washington fans I know are either just like way over here, like we're making the Super Bowl, or they're going the shoe is about to drop. Okay, we're just about to fall apart. So I'm over here going, you can be excited. you can be happy. Okay, you've got a really good team. There's a really good team. It's got a great culture. I think you're starting to see a little bit of a shift now, especially with the fact that the Giants haven't really been super relevant. Right. The Eagles won a Super Bowl a few years ago, but we've seen the decline of Carson Wentz and some of the issues with Howie Roseman kind of play into that decline there. And Dallas, Dallas almost can't get out of its own way. And now Washington has just kind of steadily rose through a shift, getting rid of some of the old, coming in with Ron Rivera, a new whole style and a new approach. And now Washington has kind of put another step forward. And just in terms of stability, I almost want to say Washington would be is the top, right? Because Dallas, Jerry Jones is just Jerry Jones is kind of crazy.
Doing
right?
Jerry
I don't know
things.
what Jerry's doing.
You never know what eye is
mean,
looking at you and which one's not. Yeah. It's like, who are you staring at, Seabiscuit?
You can respect you can respect Jerry Jones' savvy as a businessman. Right. I mean, Dallas is the most valuable franchise in the sports world.
Right.
But he comes in on coaching, and he comes in with draft room, and that's, to me, that's not where an owner should be. And I think it kind of messes with some dynamics there, especially with his son, Steven. The Giants, nobody really respects Gettleman, right? We're all going, Gettleman's an idiot. I mean, and they did improve, but and then Philly, I mean, holy, I don't even want to start with Howie Roseman.
They can't even get a press conference done right.
I know.
and now Washington, you're seeing the fruits of Ron Rivera's labor of stability. Now it's an exciting place, right? Washington fans are now like, man, we get a quarterback. I mean, the sky's the limit, right? Seriously. I think that's the only thing holding Washington back. I seriously think that's the only thing holding Washington back is we just need a quarterback.
Yeah.
That's all. If they can get one.
Yeah, I can look. I'm telling you right now, I can tell that Valdivinos has really rubbed off on you, AJ, and I'm glad to see that. But to finish this up, AJ, to wrap up this interview, my last question for you: the schedule release was not too long ago. I know you most likely don't have every game on top of your head, but you've had to make a mental note of what the best Washington matchup is going to be this season for you.
Ooh. Honestly, I'd love to see how they matched up against Tampa again.
Yes, thank you.
I think that
there you go. Yeah.
I think that you can kind of look at it and you're going, man, Tampa's really good. Certainly, but Washington came awfully close in the playoffs, and they've only gotten better, right? And if Ryan Fitzpatrick is like, you know what, I'm feeling a little bit of a revenge game.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm feeling a little bit of it. I think that is a really, really exciting matchup to keep an eye on. I think Kansas City, I know that one's going to feature some fireworks too.
Right.
You're going to have two teams just slinging it, just trying to go downfield as much as possible.
That'll be such a good test for this defense against that offense.
Yeah. And so those would be kind of my two. I think they match up fairly well against the rest of the NFC East. So those are the only games I could really recall off the top of my head. I don't.
Those ones stick out.
Who their AFC division?
The Raiders, the AFC West.
But
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would pick them comfortably over the Raiders in Denver.
Right.
The Chargers just kind of a wait and see with that defense.
Yeah.
And our extra game, we play the Bills. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's a tough. Yeah. That's why they got Jimmy Davis, right, to help with the Josh Allen run game.
Yeah, there exactly. You go. There you go.
AJ.
So
you're good. Sorry.
I think this Washington team could compete. If the only thing stopping them is bad quarterback play, I think there's. If they get that, I don't think there's anything stopping them from at least competing for one of those wild card spots.
Right.
That's
real fast.
That's what I want to hear, baby.
Tom Brady, Ryan Fitzpatrick has never lost a Super Bowl, so who's better?
That's hilarious. AJ, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out and joining us, sir. You guys do great work over there at Pro Football Network 365. You and Matt Valdivinos, we love you guys.
Love it.
Appreciate you coming on, sir. Tell the people where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at AJ Draft Scout. My work is over at Pro Football Network for right now. We'll see. We'll see how my
Love Pro
contract
Football
goes in
Network,
about a
by the
week.
way.
Uh,
Love it.
Yeah, the guys here are phenomenal. And building something outstanding.
Yep.
Our sim. I actually have a meeting right after this to update our sim 2022. So if you're saying, hey, let's get Washington a quarterback, you might want to check out our sim.
That's
right. Oh, yeah, there you
That's
go.
what I'm talking about, AJ.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough, sir.
Thank you.
We'll have you on again very, very soon. You brought some great intellect into the conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time, sir. I hope you have a good one.
Yes.
Thank you guys for inviting me. Y'all have a good night.
Hey, you too,
All right,
brother.
man. Take
Good
it
luck
easy,
in
dude.
that meeting. All right, AJ. All right, everybody. We just spoke with AJ Schulte. That was great. He's awesome.
He's awesome, dude, man. He's so good. It's so nice to hear somebody who knows so much about not only like the draft and Washington, but then on top of that, fantasy football and
the
then
NFL.
every other team. Yeah, it's so nuts, so refreshing. Good job.
I like how we put Washington slinging the ball around the field. I mean, when's the last time you heard that in a sentence?
I know.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like thinking about last year, those check downs 24/7. What it's going to be this year really just gets you all excited. And Kyle, what did you say earlier? You said you got horny?
Yeah, dude. From talking about defense and having great defense, yeah, that gets me horny. What are you talking about?
I think you need to go see a therapist. That's what I
Well,
think.
yeah, that's guaranteed. But that neither here nor there. Because of you last time leaving out to go to see your therapist, we weren't able to do our last of our Would You Rather questions, all because of you, Reed, but it's okay. So we're going to start out with Sean because we missed out on him last week with the Would You Rather. So let's move on to our questions and the Would You Rather segment. They're gonna be combined for this one, folks. Sean in Florida wants to know. He said, would you rather know that Washington football team would win a Super Bowl this year but not be able to see any of the games? Or would you be able to go to all the games and they would have a losing record?
Oh, my God. That's a pretty good question.
I'm going to have to go with, as much as I love going to the games, I'll be there week one with everybody going crazy. Section 424. I'd still have to say I'd have to go with not going to the games, not being able to see the games, and them get a Super Bowl just because I'd be able to go to the parade and I'd be able to celebrate the Super Bowl. So
yeah,
that'd be enough for me. So that's what I'm
yeah, that's the same thing for me, dude. Super Bowl all day long. I'll take that. I don't want to be selfish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And plus, you can always go back and watch highlights and stuff, you know? I mean, it would suck not being able to watch football like that, but I don't care. To win a Super Bowl, I would suck at what? What happened? I blacked out. What did I say?
Oh, my God. All right, our next one is going to be from Ash Burning. He wants to know, would you rather see the team improve by upgrading weak positions or flounder and hover at 500?
I think you got to improve. Yeah, always wanted to improve. That's the one thing that I really, really want to give Rivera and the Martys and stuff credit for, and everybody is. They literally, like, every year, like, fans are like, we have these weaknesses and this is what we need to do to address them. And because you really look at the roster and, like, it seemed like in the past, like, of all these Bruce Allen, all these people, they would go and, like, sign random things that it was like, we don't really need that right now. I mean, I guess I get it, but, like, they really, like, took it and they're like, okay, we're going to make our weaknesses, we're going to turn them into strengths. We're going to put a lot of depth at these guys. Like, look at wide receiver. Last year it was so terrible. This year we're very deep at wide receiver. Same with offensive line. So it's very interesting. I love the way that they've built and it really improved.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is a good one.
I don't think I answered the question, but yeah, you know.
No, but it's I would rather them upgrade the weak positions, obviously, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, it's very, very easy, to be perfectly honest.
You see how happy this fan base has been over the past like year or so? That's what happens when you upgrade your weaknesses and, like, build an actual team.
Right.
Like, you let people do football things. So you got to go with the first selection.
Right. And now let's go to our guy, Tim Meek, former guest of ours. Tim, we really appreciate you. He put in a bunch of Would You Rathers, but I'm only going to use one, Tim, because I want to use these for the other episodes and stuff because you sent us a bunch. And this one is fantastic. He said, would you rather stay at FedEx with a remodel, but you're guaranteed one Super Bowl win in the next decade? Or have the latest and greatest stadium in D.C., but no Super Bowls for the next decade?
Okay, so I'll start this one. Look, I hate FedEx Field more than anybody. I don't even go to FedEx like ever anymore because I'm over it. I don't like it. But to win a Super Bowl, I don't care. Fucking stay in FedEx for 30, 40 years. Stay there for the rest of my life. If we're going to guarantee to win a Super Bowl, I'm there. If I see Washington win a Super Bowl in my lifetime, I am going to cry and I can die happy at that point. So it is what it is. I don't remember.
This is such a tough one by Tim.
It's very tough. Very tough.
He the caveat in there is DC. He's saying the stadium would be in DC. There's nothing more I want than for them to have the stadium in DC. But there is one more thing, and that is the Super Bowl. And I would take the Super Bowl over the stadium in DC any day. I know I've said how I feel about FedEx, but I love the Lombardi way more than I love that stadium in DC. So I would take the Super Bowl.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like Reed said, I'm pretty sure if they won a Super Bowl in my lifetime, I would probably cry happy tears of joy.
Right.
So with that being said,
yeah.
So that being said, I got to go with like winning a Super Bowl. Although, one like dream of mine would also be for like them to like just have some like state of the art crazy stadium, nice as hell.
By the way, is gonna happen.
Yep.
Exactly. But then they can also host.
Let me get that note.
That's why they're doing it. That's why they're doing it.
I can go down to DC or Maryland, or hopefully not Virginia. Sorry, Virginia people. And be a part of the Super Bowl festivities for the week and the weekend. And so that would be the only like downfall of like not getting a new stadium. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got a Super Bowl. So who's gonna complain about that?
Real fast, we're a finalist to host the draft in I think 2024.
I didn't know that.
If that happens, we're all going.
Oh, without a doubt, we're
doing
going.
a live one there.
What are you talking? We're gonna be the ones announcing the picks.
I didn't even know. I don't know.
No, that was the great. Thank you, Tim. I really appreciate you, sir. I'm gonna use your other ones for the next shows. I hope you don't mind. Our next one is from Tyler Pitt, which is would you rather? He said, would you rather have a top 5 quarterback and a middle of the pack defense, or a top 5 defense and a middle of the pack quarterback?
Well, that's what we have right now. So, quarterbacks win Super Bowls. I feel like it's an offensive game. Quarterbacks, although you obviously defense does. They say defense wins championships, but guess what? All you need is an average middle of the road defense. Because look at the Chiefs. They had a top 5 quarterback.
Tell that to the Chiefs and 49ers.
Middle of the road defense. So if you get a top 5 quarterback, I feel like obviously Deshaun Watson. I feel like that we'd be right there for the contention for many years to come.
You know me, dude. You know me, Tyler. Top 5 defense, middle of the pack quarterback. I truly believe that it is not impossible to build a Super Bowl roster with a middle of the pack quarterback, and you can interchangeable with that piece. That's what happened with 3 Super Bowls here in DC. I still believe that to be the case, and that's why I would take
different time.
I don't care. Top 5 defense, middle of the pack quarterback. Tom Brady did not. He did not barn. When has Tom Brady gone into a Super Bowl and thrown 400 yards and killed it? If it wasn't for Malcolm Butler, one of those would have went away. And then the other ones are absolutely ridiculous. Like, look, I digress. Fact is, defense does still win championships. The Ravens proved this. The Broncos proved this. Seahawks proved this. Patriots proved it.
What did the Seahawks also have? Only quarterback.
Yeah, but he wasn't the
reason. The Chiefs.
They had a lockdown defense.
The Chiefs versus 49ers is the perfect example. I understand what you're saying. I'm perfectly fine with having a top-of-the-line defense and a middle-of-the-road quarterback. I'll take that all goddamn day. You're 100% right, Kyle. You could definitely win a Super Bowl like that. I just think you're in better position and you can be a consistent contender with a top 5 quarterback and a middle-of-the-road defense. I mean, you see that every team every year that's good in and out every year. You look at Green Bay, you look at Kansas City, you look at whatever team Tom Brady's on, you look at the man Peyton with whatever team he was on. You have one of these top quarterbacks, you're always going to be in contention. And if you have a middle-of-the-pack defense, that's very good. But you can win a Super Bowl with either one. I'm going top-of-the-line quarterback, mid-level defense.
Yeah, I mean, look what Deshaun Watson did last year. Led the league in literally every statistical category he was top 5 in. His defense was horrible.
Their team around him sucked.
If they had a middle average if they had a top, even like a 16 to 18 ranked defense, they would easily won the AFC South by easily, right. Or even a wild card. And Deshaun Watson in the playoffs, I'm taking my chances with that. So,
which goes to prove, build the team first, then get the quarterback. All right, moving on to Prince.
So anyway,
no, he wanted to have like a kind of topic of discussion. He didn't really have a question, but a lot of people feel this way. And let's try to go through this quick, okay? Because we got a bunch to go through. He's upset that they only got a third and a fifth for basically Trent Williams and Morgan Moses. He would have much rather have traded Morgan. It wasn't going to happen. When a team tells you we're allowing you to go seek trades, that means they're not receiving any calls. It's saying, okay, yeah, you go convince them. Basically, essentially saying you're gone, in my personal opinion. So I didn't think that was going to be the case.
Yeah, and you're right. It does suck, especially like when you look at Trent, like getting the third stuff for him. Like that sucks because it's top of the line left tackle, but we put ourselves in a hole by everybody knowing that he had to go. So he was a bargain. 49ers pounced on it. Props to them. They got the best left tackle in the NFL, and it is what it is. It sucks, but I mean, yeah, what can you do?
Yeah, I blame the Trent situation on Bruce Allen because
he's a nice guy. He seems like a nice guy, though. He's cool.
Very nice guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not, but it was reported that the Patriots are offering 2 firsts or like a first and something else last year. They declined it. Trent wanted out, so you can get it for him at that point. As far as the Moses thing, like you said, Kyle, they were obviously probably shopping him around, trying to put his name out there before the news broke that they were even trying to like press a trade for him. So obviously, like you said, once you put it out there that you can seek your own trade, you're pretty much getting released because no one's going to throw anything at you.
Right. Thank you, Prince. I appreciate you're a great fan of ours. You always give us support. Our next is Tony Shivers. Tony the Tiger. The consistent as always, as consistent as taxes. He wants to know, would you rather extend Jonathan Allen and Logan Thomas? Oh, wait, sorry. My bad. I'm sorry. Would you rather extend Jonathan Allen or Logan Thomas if you're only allowed to keep one?
Oh my God! See, that's a very tough question. That's a very good question because obviously, to me, Jonathan Allen is the better player. However, when you look at behind him, you have Deron Payne and Matt Ioannidis. Who do you have behind Logan Thomas? And tight end can be so important. Another caveat though is Logan Thomas is already 30, so it's tough. Who would I guess just based off of the depth you kind of got to go with Logan Thomas, although I'm a big Jonathan Allen guy and I would like to re-sign both of them. So let's never put me in this position.
For me, it's Jonathan Allen. He has the off the field concrete kind of leadership that if you're going to extend anybody, that's the guy you want to extend it to. He wants to stay here. He wants to build this team. He wants to see the end of it. He carries himself the right way, does everything right. Obviously, you don't have a tight end behind Logan, but the fact is Jonathan Allen's one of those pieces that if he goes, you could possibly be losing the future because of what he would bring as a nucleus. So for me, it's Jonathan Allen.
I'm switching my call. You talked me into but you're right. I'm going Jonathan Allen.
No. All right, then I switch it to Logan then.
I mean, okay, I'm switching mine back.
You already know I love offense. I was a Logan Thomas skeptic. You guys, you know, you steer me in the right direction. I'm a believer of Logan Thomas. With that being said, it's gonna sound like a slightly Logan Thomas when I love Logan Thomas. But with that being said, like you said, Jonathan Allen is the more important piece, the off the field stuff. He's from the DMV. He's been a fan of the team. He wants to see. He's been here at the very, very bottom. And I feel like he's going to be like on the ascend with the team and get to the very top with the team. And with the tight end coach, I always forget his name. Pete Hainer. He can turn guys into like Logan Thomas, who were 4-star recruits coming out of high school, but switched to quarterback in college. Haven't played tight end since high school.
Great point.
All the tools you can work with him and say, you know what, I can make that guy into a top 5 to top 10 tight end. So I feel like, and again, I love Logan Thomas. It's going to sound like a slight, but I feel like they could bring in another Logan Thomas after Logan Thomas and kind of mold them into what they want to be at the tight end position.
Got you. Great one. So Hall, I know you're gonna have to get out of here, so we got to go kind of like rapid fire because I know you got to be out at 7:20. But Reed, you and I can stick till
I can push it to like 7:25.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
perfect.
That's like when I gotta leave anyway.
So Tony's next question for us. This is a great one. This one is really gonna be pressing us. He said, "Would you rather fight Neo from the Matrix or John Wick?"
I would rather fight Neo from the Matrix. You can't fight John Wick. You do not fight John Wick. You don't fight John Wick. John Wick is an ultimate fighting machine. Like John Wick is one of the movie characters that you find. You're just like, all right, I'm picking that guy over almost any movie character ever to be on my side because John Wick, he's a dog. Plus, Neo's not even real. He's part of a simulation. So,
dude, I guess who would I rather fight? Shoot, I don't know. To be perfect, the Neo can like dodge bullets. The dude can like fly and stuff like that. Like it's ridiculous. I don't want to fight like Superman. Like
exactly.
Like that. Like it's crazy. With John Wick, it's almost like he's a little bit more human. So if I had to pick between the two, I guess John Wick. I mean, that's the only one. Which means I'm dead. So
yeah, that was what to say.
Dead either way, whoever you fight.
Right. Yeah.
Just don't take John Wick's dog.
Keanu Reeves, I guess, is what it is. But I mean, if I had to pick, I'm with Kyle. Like, this man Neo can like run on buildings and like fly and like dodge bullets and like do the limbo down to the floor. So I'm cool with that. I'd rather fight John Wick. He can
I'm cool with that.
You guys both get your ass whipped though. I mean, John Wick will.
Would you rather
either one of you?
Shot like 1,000 times by John Wick or just like Neo flick you and like you randomly your heart stops?
I would rather get shot 1,000 times. No, I wouldn't. I'd rather fight Neo. By the way, I'd rather fight Bill from Bill and Ted.
He's already flipping his.
No, I'm not flipping mine. I'm not fighting John Wick. You can't fight John Wick. I'm right. So anyway, let's go.
Chuck Norris versus John Wick.
John Wick.
Going to our next question, which is from our great friend of the podcast, former guest Serge the Shooter. He wants to know, why is Serge the GOAT? Just kidding. Of course you're the GOAT, Serge. But he wants to know, who are the cuts at safety and why?
Oh, obviously, old Whitey Troy Apke.
Old Whitey.
Oh, Whitey. Yeah. That's what I'm going. It's going to be tough, though. I mean, does Jeremy Reeves end up getting cut? Like the Shazer Everett, like what? I don't know. This is going to be very tough. That's a very good question. I know we don't have a lot of time, so I can't stick on it, but for sure, Apke. Other than that, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Apke, and I actually think it's going to be Shazer Everett. To be perfectly honest,
that's where
kind of an older safety. I know he does really well. He comes up, he hits, he does a great job. But with adding Bobby McCain, and then with how Jeremy Reeves played so well last season next to Cam Curl, I could easily see them having him as the backup and feeling comfortable with that if the occasion arose.
Yeah, I'm with both of you. Those two are going to be going. I think with the way that Jeremy Reeves stepped in last year and really rose to the occasion and made the best of his playing time, I think he pretty much, unless he has some crazy downhill fall in camp, I'm pretty sure he solidified his spot in this roster going into next year.
But let's be real, if it wasn't for the cap hit, I wish it was Landon.
I mean, yeah.
Thank you, Serge. Charlie Gaddy wants to know, this guy's awesome, dude, by the way. He wants to know, last season, Ron kept all 7 draft picks. Do you think he does the same this season? Because in particular with Dax Milne, would he's saying it would be interesting to see which wide receivers they cut.
That's what I was just about to say, especially him being a 7th rounder. I mean, that wide receiver room is going to be loaded. We went over it a bunch. Yep. I don't know if they're going to keep him. I think they'll keep them all. Maybe they put Milne on the practice squad. But it's interesting to see. I wouldn't be shocked if they kept them all, but I do not think that they will. I think one will be on the practice squad.
Yes, I do think that. I know Dax Milne does bring the kind of special teams ability with him as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw practice squad Serge and Dax Milne. Just to be able to plug them there. That's the way they could keep Cam Sims. They could possibly keep Adam Humphries. So I don't even think it might be making the roster, to be perfectly honest with you, with how many weapons they have there. Because if you take Adam Humphries out of the equation, then things start making more sense, and you can really start plugging that talent in there.
That's a great question, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I definitely think that it's Dax Milne again, unless Trey gets a training camp, and obviously he looks like Zach Wilson's #1 target at BYU, just catching everything wide open all the time.
Right.
Yeah, I could definitely see him making it, but I think he'll be the odd man out as far as the rookies go, and I definitely think that they're going to keep 3 edge rushers on the active roster. So I think they're between Tony and Bradley King. Whichever one of them is the lesser, I think they'll try to stash him on practice squad as well.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Now we're going to the Inquirer. We're going across the pond. Scott
Oi.
Hartley. Oi.
Oi.
He said, would you rather have hands for feet or feet for hands?
Oh, my feet are kind of already like hands. Like I pick stuff up with it all the time. Lindsay always gives me shit for it. She's like, ew, why would you? So I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with hands for feet, because at least you can hide them in shoes. If you're walking around trying to shake hands with a goddamn foot, it's going to be kind of odd, you know? But that's a good question.
Reed's running around with the 5-second rule, picking things up with his foot.
I do. Put it in my mouth. I smoke cigarettes with my foot. I don't smoke cigarettes.
Hands for feet all day, Scott. You can't really do much with your feet, except like
driving. Would you wear gloves as socks, though? That's another good thing.
That is a good question. That's a very good question. I think you would. Damn. You'd have to. I mean, they make those anyway. So,
but then
hands for feet all day.
These are the hard-hitting questions we need answered.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm definitely going with. Wait, let me think about it. Feet for
hands, or hands for feet.
Feet for hands, just because like I'm kind of like Reed, where I kind of pick stuff up with my feet.
You would take feet for hands?
Yeah, if the remote's at the bottom of my bed.
Okay.
Just reach down.
Oh, that's a good point.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. So. But you'd also be known as the guy with feet for hands. At least we can hide our feet or our hand feet.
Love making with fun. I'll tell you that.
I can put a glove on.
Imagine Hall punching somebody with his heel.
Oh. That's another good point. You just
they're not losing.
Like you can heel kick someone, but like
then maybe you could take John Wick.
Okay, hold on. Now we have to move on. We have 2 more, and we got 5 minutes. Andy from the UK. Oi!
Oi!
Host of the DC Tweet Team podcast. This is a phenomenal question. He said, would you rather go into the past and meet your ancestors or go into the future and meet your great-great-grandchildren?
Oh, I'm a history buff, so I would love to go back in time. However, I'm a very firm believer in the butterfly effect after seeing that goddamn movie with Ashton Kutcher. So I'm gonna say, let me go to the future. Let me meet my seeds of the seeds. I'll go meet them just because I don't want to fucking ruin everything by meeting something from the past and it's causing a tsunami in Japan or something.
I would go past, to be perfectly honest. My grandfather, not to be sentimental, one of my grandfathers passed away before I could like really meet him as a kid. So love to be able to go back and meet Papa Kurtz, man. He was a gold medalist for the Deaf Olympics, a baller athlete. He was awesome. Unfortunately, he passed away shortly after I was born. So if I'm gonna do anything, I'm going in the past.
Well, thanks for making me look like a dick, Kyle.
I'm going to the future just because the past was not too kind for my people. So.
I was about to say, you definitely can't go to the past. Dude, that is the fucking funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Andy,
and on that note, we're out.
I cannot. Andy, you don't really remember American history too much, do you? That wasn't a fair question.
You didn't think about that one for a haul. that was genius.
Oh my God.
We have one more. We have one more with 3 minutes left. Orange Crush wants to know. He says, you open your shed for the first time for spring. As soon as you walk in, would you rather see a giant wasp nest or a huge spider?
Oh man, that's horrible. I hate both those. Probably a huge spider, even though I literally like borderline arachnophobia. But probably a huge spider just because
why do you hate a rat boat?
I can run from the spider. You see a hornet's nest, they can like chase you away. So I guess I'd go with the spider.
Oh my God.
That's so. Yeah.
Honestly, it'd probably be a huge spider. You know, I could like just burn the shed down. Just like shoot it or stab it or something with like wasps. As soon as you mess with it, you got like 300 on you. So
right.
I would much rather the huge spider, I guess.
The only it's tough. I don't know. Like I want to say spider, but every time I see like a big spider, like I turn into like a little woman, like a little girl. Yeah. Not it's 2021, but I don't know. Like you can't hide from bees when they're flying at you like that. And if they want to kill you, we've all seen that movie where that boy, I forget what it's called, where the kid dies because the bee stings. Yeah, My Girl, whatever. So that's sad. I guess I'll go with a spider, but as long as it's not a snake, I'm good. Fucking hate snakes. What can I say?
That's a great one. Thank you to Orange Crush. Thank you, Andy, Scott, Charlie, Serge, Tony, Sean, Ashburning. Thank you, everyone, for all of your questions and your Would You Rathers. They were phenomenal. This is what we're talking about, baby. I love it. Thank you to AJ Schulte for joining us again. That was fantastic, as always.
Dude, I still can't. That was the funniest comment I've ever heard.
I wasn't even thinking about that. And
neither was I. And as soon as
you answered the question, asked the question, that was the first.
I'm so happy you went last with that because that just capped that off. Oh my God,
that's gonna be Hall of Fame worthy.
We got to make a clip of that.
Yeah, we do. All right, everybody. We will see you guys on Tuesday. Make sure you don't miss it. We have a great show lined up for you guys. All right. I'm Kyle.
I'm traveling to the future.
And I'm Dad, and you guys can't kill my mood because old Dad's returning to normal and DJing again this weekend and getting it started once again. So let's all get weird.
Yeah, let's get weird. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday. Washington football. Woo! What's up, everybody? It's your man Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. I hope you enjoyed the last video as much as we did. If you like what you saw, please like the video by clicking the thumbs up symbol and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continuing to do what we do and making great content for y'all. If you want to stay up to date on new episodes, make sure you click on the notification bell, and I'll see you guys next time.